science. We put a motor in the wheel, added lithium batteries, and programmed the board to balance for you. We've got pint for cruisers, XR for shredders, but nothing for this guy. And oh yeah, we built them in the US of A.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. With everything going on with the C-19 outbreak, quote unquote, and the videos that I've recently put up showing you the repetition and the pattern in these commercials, which is known as social engineering, I wanted to take this time to show people that this is your own government who is doing experiments on us, the citizens. You know, the government that's supposed to work for us, actually we're using us like lab mice or lab rats, so to speak. And people like me have been talking about MK Ultra, Project Monarch, all of these mind control operations that the government, the CIA, and the military has used on its own citizens for quite some time. And people actually make videos making fun of those types of videos when the government is openly admitted, they do not deny it one bit, that they did this to our own citizens, to their own citizens. And I want to show you how we've gotten to this point, right? Where they've learned how to weaponize mind control, to use your brain to fit their agenda, to take control of your brain through the media, through patterns, through repetition, and everything else that they do. This is how we got to this point. This is how, and what you're seeing right now with the C-19 is the repetition and the pattern being done together. One, we're all in it together. And then constantly talking about it'll all be back to normal when there's a vax, when there's a vax, when there's a vax. Then everything goes back to normal. They're preparing people for the mandatory vax through repetition and mind control, all because it's the only way that they can get people on board is through deception and using cheap tactics like this. And this is your own government working against its citizens. If you don't believe me, look for yourself.
Being able to have a great head of hair, having a trending hairstyle, and able to go.
We are not professing to tell you the complete story of these activities. We are professing to tell you the complete story that we know. But these records that we've uncovered don't tell the story. They tell pieces of it.
This is a story that has been told in bits and pieces. This is an attempt to pull most of it together. We know we don't have the full story. We do, however, have some striking new revelations and insights. The story begins here, just off the nation's front yard, the Mall. The buildings behind me were the headquarters for the World War II Office of Strategic Service. It was here that the first halting steps toward mind control began. The shaper and molder of OSS was General Wild Bill Donovan. He said of his group's work, "We may have made mistakes, but we were not afraid to try things that were never done before." In this anything-goes atmosphere, Donovan appointed this man, Stanley Lovell, a Boston industrialist, to break new ground in many scientific and technical fields. Donovan called Lovell his Dr. Moriarty, after the fiendish professor in Sherlock Holmes. Lovell liked the name and posed for this Saturday Evening Post photo. He later wrote of his OSS job that it was, quote, to stimulate the Peck's bad boy beneath the surface of every American scientist and to say to him, throw all of your normal law-abiding concepts out of the window. Here's a chance to raise merry hell. It was in this atmosphere that the search for mind control began. This bizarre man would be an active participant in that search over the next 2 decades. His name is George White, an OSS captain who had formerly been with the Bureau of Narcotics. In his diary, seen here publicly for the first time, White left a legacy of the darker side of American intelligence work. He received his early OSS training at the British-run school at Oshawa, Canada, the same school where Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, was trained. White referred to the school in his diaries as the Oshawa School of Mayhem and Murder. Mike Burke, former OSS colleague of White's and now president of Madison Square Garden Center.
Very compelling fellow, mysterious fellow, almost mystical fellow. He was fascinating because you knew something about him, but not enough about him to really get a fix on him. He also knew a great deal about the swifter elements of society, the gamier side of life, and he was very impressive in his technical knowledge of the underworld, so to speak.
He said one of our men gets beat up. He says you have to act real fast and teach these guys a lesson.
Charles Siragusa, a former narcotics officer and friend of White's.
He'll come around, he says, and break your kneecaps. And with that, one guy laughed. And George, what was that little building?